Right, it's always a pleasure to do this with you. Let's get started. Thank you for choosing us. My name is Kojo Yankson. Now, the nation needs a rethink. It's a position almost all Ghanaians agree with. The country is not progressing as it should, no matter who leads us. As we told you yesterday, the Church of Pentecost is taking steps to help address this. Yesterday, they assembled the country's most powerful people to discuss solutions to our problems, and they wrapped it all up today. We're going to take you live to the location and hear from some of the speakers shortly. Plus, we'll bring you some analysis of what has been shared there. But first, let's go along to the Pentecost Convention Center in Gumwa Fete in the Central Region. My colleague Carlos Kaloni is there. Carlos, before we actually go to Carlos, let's hear a wrap of some of the thoughts that were shared at this event.
I think for the first time on a platform, you have NDC, MPP, and all people from all walks of life, not talking about partisan interests, but what could bind us together and a vision for the future. It's both symbolically important, and what will come out of it, how can you predict what will come out of it at the beginning? I believe that there is hope for Ghana if we decide to work together. And I think that what this conference is about, if I get it right, is that first of all, we must learn to sing from the same hymn book with a national vision. And that the planners of the Constitution set up the National Development Planning Commission for that. Hitherto, our politicians have focused on their party agenda. And I think that there's a need to change that focus, and that's what we are here for. And I believe that 1,000 miles starts somewhere. This should be the beginning. But by itself, the gathering will not achieve much. It's what we do after. And I hope that with the Church of Pentecost, which at the moment has 1 in every 10 Ghanaians is a Church of Pentecost member, can start a movement which will be positive and will bind us together.
I think that this is an opportune time. We are going to have elections, and we need, for me, a pep talk that we need to think about the future of this nation. Whoever wants to rule this nation must think about probity and accountability, must think about how to overcome corruption. We cannot do things normally. We are not in normal times. And for me, for the Church of Pentecost to organize this and bring, if you like, all the movers and shakers together, it is my prayer that because the heart of the king is in the hands of the Lord, God will turn our hearts around, that we will do things differently. We will not turn a blind eye to things that are happening, but we will help the right and fight the wrong.
The idea of bringing people across board to engage in this kind of conference for me is an incredible kind of innovation, but particularly even the idea of the moral vision for the nation for me is something that is so innovative and very remarkable. It appears to me so much of reflection has gone into our current moral situation, and that has led to the crafting of this kind of very, what I describe as revolutionary kind of vision to assist us to be able to reclaim our integrity as a nation. But if you look at the wonderful array of people who have come to participate from the top to the low, it's very impressive. It's assisting unity. I've seen former President Kufuor, former President John Dramani Mahama, seen them taking picture together with the current Vice President. All of them, from the presentation they made, sharing concern. I've been acknowledging that something is wrong with our moral state.
Being beneficial is an understatement. It's very, very, very important. And I congratulate the church. I commend the church for this kind of program. I pray that other churches will follow suit. Now, like the speakers just alluded to, morality. It's the nation. People without morals, you can see what will happen in the country, you know. So it's everything. Morality from the moral fabric of the nation, and it is that will impact on what we do, will impact on our children and the next generation, like the speakers all alluded to. So this program is very, very important. In fact, it's the first time, I don't know whether, and I'm thinking they say it's the first time they organize this thing. I pray it's organized on a yearly basis.
It is very insightful. In fact, this is what we actually need. If we would have to move forward, the character, the moral fiber of the people must change.
Yeah. All right. Now let's go live to the venue and speak to our very own Carlos Caloni, who has been there from the very beginning. Carlos, so as we understand it, it's all come to an end.
About 5,000 plus participants actually taking part in this particular. Of an integrity council to ensure that these recommendations
My name is Stephen Kofi Beidu, NDC parliamentary candidate. Bring to the forefront the need for morality and ethics in what we do, not just Christian values, but morality and ethics. And that is what this conference I'm trying to portray.
All right. Hold on. Let me come to you. What's your name and what are some of the highlights for you?
Thank you very much. My name is Carl Ni Ado. I'm coming from the Excellent Ghana Forum, which is a civil society organization, and also the parliamentary candidate for aspirant for Bokatamaso constituency. For me, my take out is the fact that we hope to encourage the idea of Operation Feed Yourselves amongst the Ghanaian populace. I am also very enthused on the issue of the National Integrity Council. Indeed, many a times we have been able to protect our cultural values, and coming on the back of some legislation such as the Proper Family Rights Bill. I am so excited. This is commendable. I salute and doff my hat out to the apostle of the chairman of the Church of Pentecost, Apostle Nyamiche, and the entire team. With this is been long in coming, and we hope that it is not just going to be in 2023, but it will be repeated every year. Again, I also saw the wonderful harmony between our former presidents yesterday and the cooperation between the two major parties and their stakeholders yesterday. It was in all, it's just been wonderful.
All right, so let's talk about the recommendation. 10 recommendations given. Which of these recommendations do you think should be the number one for you? And do you think that recommendation will lead to the transformation of the moral fabric that we have as a people?
Indeed, first of all, I would want to put our own bit as Excellent Ghana Forum in the integrity campaign. An integrity campaign, a nationwide campaign to improve and promote the moral alertness of our citizenry. Indeed, I appreciate the fact that in the school curriculum, the religious and moral education subject is helping on that. But once there is a deliberate, a purposive approach towards improving or increasing the moral fiber of the society, that's good. So that should come first. That's the integrity campaign. Secondly, the council.
All right, hold on. Let me come to my gentleman. For you, which of these 10 recommendations should stand tall?
I think the council is it encompasses all the other 9 that we are talking about. So that is like the vehicle in which all the other recommendations can actually be implemented. So if we're able to actually get the council to actually work, I think that's fantastic. So we are hoping that that will work. But for the Church of Pentecost, one of our core our values for the theme has been possessing the nations for Christ. And this is in line. You see, as Christians, it's not just about preaching the word of God itself, but it's about impacting lives in a positive way. So if you remember, some years ago, we even built some prisons for the nation. So that is what the church is about. And this conference falls in line with the values and vision of the church.
All right, so going forward, what would you want to see within what time frame in terms of implementation of these recommendations?
I would be very happy if this year we actually see implementation, a lobbying going on, because this has to be approved by Parliament and all the other stakeholders for it to become to be implemented. But I can say, if Stephen Kofi Bid goes into Parliament, this is going to be one of the first things that I'm going to push, because morality is important. One of the things that we learned is that now, because morality has gone down, we're actually training intelligent thieves. Because now all these guys are learning how to use the computer to change figures and stuff like that. So where there's no ethic, if there's nothing to click your mind that what I'm doing is wrong, Charlie, it's very serious. Okay. So we want a nation that is full of people who fear God, at the same time love the country in which we are, and are willing to do work voluntarily to support and help the country move forward.
All right, thank you so much. And final question to you. Now, looking at these recommendations given, some would argue that we usually would have some of these things, recommendations given at the end of each conference, and we go to sleep. For you, what are the practical steps that you expect the authorities, Parliament, and all those institutions, what do you expect them to put into action so we can actually reap the full benefit of these recommendations?
Oh, thank you very much. Indeed, His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo in the short while will be launching the repackaged phase of the Planting for Food and Jobs program. And I wish and I expect actually that it will be the idea of growing food as in our backyards. I mean, the Operation Feed Yourself will be inculcated or incorporated into the second phase of the Planting for Food and Jobs. That I think we can quickly do whilst we do go through the normal process to institutionalize the Morality and Integrity Council.
All right, both of you are politicians, and usually it is the politicians who are supposed to actualize some of these recommendations. And so I'm going to ask you, what will be your word to the political leaders of the country? I'll ask you and then I'll come back to you.
I would say I think it's clear. My special greetings to John Mahama, my president, wherever you are, and all the executives of the party. NDC, we've always been people-centered. Our focus has always been how can we make the people at the bottom, at the grassroots, have a comfortable living. And this is something that we as a party, we are very passionate about. And we can promise that if NDC 2024, 2025, we are in power, we will work with the church and other stakeholders to ensure that morality is important. The evidence is clear to see where there's no morality, there's no ethics, greed and corruption is what we see. And we are hoping that we in power will change that for Ghana.
All right. What will be your word to the political leadership of the country and the traditional leadership?
There is a new breed of politicians coming up, and in just a simple language, I already commend His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, my own mother, the Chief of Staff, Mama Frema, because I know that when you consider even the harmonious and tolerant way this government has been able to hold the fort for the past 7 years, I hold no doubt, not even a shred, that we are going to work towards implementing these 10 communique points cooperatively.
All right, thank you. So I have on my right an MPP person and on my left an NDC person. They are assuring us that they are committed to these recommendations. But earlier, I have been speaking to the chairman of the implementation committee, Justice Che Bafo. So we'll take a little break and come back to listen to what he has been saying.
Right, so that's exactly what we're going to do right now. We're going to hear that earlier conversation that Carlos had, and of course it's going to shed even more light on the aspirations of this well-meaning group that intends to have a rethink of how we do things here in Ghana. A 10-point communique being the guideline for that rethink and the implementation of whatever change is required. You've heard from both representatives of both political parties who seem committed to doing things differently, and we'll certainly see whether indeed that commitment can be followed through to fruition. If we're ready now, I think we can have a look at that all-important conversation that Carlos had earlier in the day.
So we are currently here at the Pentecost Convention Center, where I'm privileged to speak to the chairman of the Moral Vision Implementation Committee Chair.
That's correct.
All right. So please, can you give us your full name?
My name is Justice Che Bafo.
And you are the?
I'm the chair of the committee that had been put up in terms of implementing the communique that had come out, and even fashioning the communique that had come out of this 2-day conference, and then also how we strategize to follow up in terms of its implementation.
All right, so share with us what informed these 10 recommendations and how are you going to implement it effectively?
Okay. You could see, if you were here starting yesterday, there were various speakers. And so the recommendations first came out of what the various speakers, in terms of their presentation, put out. Beyond the presentations, we also had group discussions where we created a platform so that for each group, when their discussions were done, they had to submit it to us. We created a Google platform, and so last night we had to meet and then peruse through the various discussions, the recommendations, and together with the presentations, encapsulated what came out of this conference, which now represent the 10 recommendations.
Let's look at implementation, whether these particular recommendations are not just going to be sitting on the shelves. What practical steps are you going to take to ensure that we fully benefit from these 2 days that we spent here?
You could see in terms of the recommendations and what we observed, our focus was not necessarily on political leadership. And I think as a nation, we have overblown and overemphasized the role of political leadership. And every nation, just like Ghana, the leadership of the country is a reflection of its people. When you have a people whose hearts are touched and are doing the right thing, ultimately, you will have that kind of leadership. But when you have a people who probably are depraved, it's more likely that the kind of leaders that you have will be a reflection of who they are. And so the strategy will be to begin engagement with all the necessary stakeholders, not necessarily the political class. We'll be dealing with the religious groups, traditional authorities. We'll be engaging in terms of education of the public with the National Commission for Civic Education, who were here and have been of great assistance to us, and all the institutions, civil organizations, we're taking it from there. But the first step is after this communique to come up with that plan or strategy, and that will be a reflection of the report.
Region. My name is Carlos Caloni for Joy News.
Imagine a government without citizens. Governments, stories that have to be told by well-trained journalists.
Let's have a conversation. Let's try and figure out what impact this event can have on the future of our country. We're joined by a former presidential candidate on the ticket of the CPP, Dr. Abu Sakara Foster. He's been part of a movement to cause change in Ghana. He calls it the National Interest Movement. We've also got with us Raymond Ablo, who is a communications specialist and a thought leader in the political space. He's a journalist as well, and he's been speaking extensively about what is wrong with Ghana. Now, before we connect with them, though, let's listen to the views expressed yesterday at the conference. Chairman of the Church of Pentecost, Apostle Dr. Eric Nyamiche, set things off with this.
Why is she coming into these matters? Many reasons, many reasons. But I will limit myself to three. The purpose of the church is the transformation of this flag, the flag of Ghana. This flag, every flag, please let me have it. Yeah, this one. That is the purpose of the church. That is why we are salt and we are the lights of the world. If it doesn't shine in the darkness, then you can't call it light. The purpose of the church is the transformation of this flag. Number 2, history invites us to join in the conversation of national development. Number 3, righteousness exalts a nation.
Right. Other speakers made some very interesting points. We can start with former President J.A. Kufuor, who had this to say.
And we are all here to consider
how we deliberate on the development of our nation using moral vision. And as I've said, you don't talk morality without talking humanity. So Pentecostal Church has done well in organizing this huge meeting, and I'm sure the meeting is also being relayed across the nation. I wish you success. So over the next 2 or 3 days of the forum, you come up with ways and means to enable the people generally to contribute to find the way forward towards developing our nation without the biases and, if you like, the unkindness.
To our value of being each other's keeper. Do we celebrate persons who today say unequivocally that in...
And now a special motorcycle weather report from Progressive.
Well, today you can expect lots of cloud cover with 0% chance of raining on your parade because you'll be riding your motorcycle vroom vroom. That rumbling low pressure system beneath you should give way to a relaxing commute and the sudden urge to take the scenic route everywhere you go because dagnabbit, you're having fun out there. That's your forecast. Back to you.
This has been a special motorcycle weather report from Progressive, where every day's a beautiful day to ride with coverage from America's #1 motorcycle insurer. Get a quote today and see what you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates.
Bringing together the stakeholders, looking at the electoral process, and also ensuring that the partisan approach does not subsume the national interest. And therein lies our principal problem, because from that derives all the other issues. When you have a national interest being subsumed by a parochial partisan interest, of course, issues of morality are going to turn up. Of course, breaches of constitution are going to turn up. Of course, we will not be adhering to principles. Of course, our budget expenditure will take on a different nature and a different tone. Of course, there will be corruption. And that is what we have seen throughout this entire period of the Fourth Republic, that the things that we want to get better seem to get worse. The good things that we want to do don't happen in such measure, but the bad things that we want to stop seem to increase from one administration to the other. And it's good that people are putting the finger on it and really pointing to the issue of morality, etc. I see it as a value system because in a democracy,
Right, we're going to reconnect there with Dr. Foster, but Raymond Abloh joins us. Raymond, what do you think of the voices through which these calls for change are coming? These are our current and previous leaders. If they knew that we needed these changes, why have they not been implemented?
That's precisely what I am telling you, that the elephant in the room is the adversarial multi-party democratic system we've adopted, which decides to go beyond any means possible to win power and preserve power. And therein lies the breaches of the law, therein lies the excesses, therein lies the unfairness in the system and subsuming the national interest. And when that happens, you have to stand back and say, let's look at the system again. After all, this democratic system was taken up by us, and we can look at it and reconfigure it in the context in which the values that we cherish as a society are paramount, and not the intentions and interests of partisan groups. We have to look at the principles that underpin, our Constitution, and ensure that they're translated properly into practice, and not just into promises that fade away in the midday sun. So these are the areas where I think we need to look at. And even when it comes to the system of governance and its impact on the economy, we talk about the economy all the time as if it's in isolation. The economy does not exist in isolation. The kind of government you have, its intent and its purposefulness to achieve a certain goal determines the kind of economy and the management of that economy that you're going to have. And embedded in that is the fairness amongst people and between peoples. And when we have a system that is so driven by partisanship and maintaining power at all costs, seeing no wrong in anything done, of course, you are going to have a system in which you begin to question morality, because what people see others doing at the top, they also repeat at the bottom. So we cannot run away from the fact that this is not just about moral Christian values and in church. This is about the democracy itself and the kind of democracy we practice and the kind of things that others doing at the top, they also repeat at the bottom. So we cannot run away from the fact that this is not just about moral Christian values and in church. This is about the democracy itself and the kind of democracy we practice and the kind of things that are Christian values and in church. This is about the democracy itself and the kind of democracy we practice and the kind of things that our democracy itself generates. And until we stop and ask, and the kind of democracy we practice and the kind of things that our democracy itself generates, and until we stop and ask, have no influence, the politician, therein lies our problem. If our democracy, by the very nature of its to make, but don't have those hordes of money, suddenly find that they don't have rallies and drown everybody out. And that is why we on the National Development Plan and not have party manifestos determining the order of the day, causing interruptions in contracts, paying judgment debts, abandoning projects, and repeating it cycle after cycle. That is when you can have a sense of focus, continuity, and accumulation, that one administration builds on what the other administration has built on, and we begin to make progress going forward. That is when you can have a sense of nationhood, a sense of patriotism, to which you can begin to educate a new generation of people so that they build this into their characters and it's imbued in them as they grow. Yes, everybody condemns. That is when you can have a sense of nationhood, a sense of patriotism, to which you can begin to educate a new generation of people so that they build this into their characters and it's imbued in them as they grow. Yes, everybody condemns. young pioneers can continue to build, and it's imbued in them as they grow. Yes, everybody condemn young pioneers can continue to build. Those are the bricks of the future.
Right. We will be hearing more from Dr. Sakara once we correct that technical error. But Mr. Ablo, can you hear me? Do we have Mr. Raymond Ablo on the line? Okay. Dr. Foster, the question is the same. Same thing I wanted to ask Raymond. Do you have any hope, any faith that this communique will lead to actual action? Okay, we're going to take a few messages when we come back.
Channel. It's the package you asked for, and we listen. Go TV Super Plus, available from 1 August. Go TV, love.
Daddy, this tank is big.
Yes, that's true.
It can store a lot of water.
That's so true.
Wow, it has a working tortoise on it.
That's so true.
I can see SINTEX. Syntax.
That is so true, my daughter.
When it falls down, it will spoil.
That's not true.
But why?
Yay! Syntex was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Syntex again was the first to introduce white inner layers in Ghana. Syntex gives you the biggest warranty, 7 years. No matter your water needs, Syntex is the answer. Syntex tank. Are you strong? Are you tough?
Smile, Look lively, okay? Smile, smile.
10 agreed points. We're discussing this with our two guests, Professor Abu Sakara Foster, former presidential candidate for the CPP, and Raymond Ablo, a communication specialist and journalist. Mr. Ablo, I'm hoping you can hear me this time because I'm keen to hear your answer to this question about whether indeed we can expect this 10-point communique to actually be implemented. Will there be action after the talk?
That's a very important question. Thank you very much. Let me say before that I commend the Pentecost Church for this particular effort. But as to whether the communique can be implemented, one cannot tell because we've had several things done this way and nothing seems to be working. First and foremost, I don't want to believe that we don't have a national vision. We already have we don't have a vision in terms of moral vision. We have a moral vision as a country already. But the question is, what is that vision? And then why are we not able to attain that vision? If you look at our national anthem, and then you look at the pledge, you realize that we have a national vision, a moral vision as a nation. The values that define the moral vision are what are in the pledge and the national anthem. That we need to be selfless, we need to be loyal to our country, faithful to our country, render service, discipline. All these things are in it there. And do we need a communique to go establish a body somewhere to appreciate these values which are there? No, we don't. the same values which Nkrumah picked for the national for the if we all agree, the question is, why is it that we have not been able to a vision? We have a moral vision as a country. The business leadership, the academia, when you look at our leadership, we don't have vision, as in our moral vision is achieved. None of them. Lead in defining the values and the moral vision of this. The businesses that are caught in scandals, the owners of those for establishing a body called integrity body is look at the National Cathedral, for instance. You have a National Cathedral which is and ensuring that the values which we are supposed to see, the values which we are supposed to inculcate in the institutions, in our children, are done. They are not doing it. They are competing rather on the corridors of power and fighting among themselves as to who is clever or who is more closer to who in the arena of power. So you see that religious leaders, and they have failed the entire nation. The chiefs have failed us too, because they are the custodians of our what? Our sexual orientation, whatever thing. But the question is, the values that we are supposed to show to of integrity, are they not part of our values? We are so corrupt that even we know the chiefs and those people who are supposed to ensure that there's no galamsey, they are part of it all. So forming a group or having an association or forming a body and calling it integrity, whatever, and that they are going to ensure we communicate. We need leadership that is the embodiment of the values that define our moral vision as a country. The leadership that is committed to ensuring that these values are very well inculcated in the institutions, their appointees, and in the citizenry at large. We need leaders who will not tell us to fix ourselves when they themselves are not fixed, but they will fix themselves and exhibit the character and attitude that will help us to fix ourselves. So this is where we are. We've got to a point where there is nothing like good and bad in this country anymore. Good and bad is dependent on who is in government and who is your friend. And in such a situation, we are acting as if now we need 10-point communique to determine or to define what our value or our what we are now calling our moral vision. But we already have a moral vision. We already have a moral vision. We all know it, but we are not working according to it because we are now finding the character and attitude that will help us to fix ourselves. So this is where we are. We've got to a point where there is nothing like good and bad in this country anymore. Good and bad is dependent on who is in government and who is your friend. And in such a situation, we are acting as if now we need 10-point communique to determine or to define what our value or our what we are now calling our moral vision. But we already have a moral vision. We already have a moral vision. We all know it, but we are not working according to it because we are now thinking more about ourselves. Today, even though the pledge and the national anthem advises or urges us to be
Heading back to school? Kids Cuts are only $12 at JCPenney Salon. Bring your K through 6th graders in today for a cool cut they'll love. Or take $12 off any styling service of $30 or more and send them back to class looking fresh. Walk-ins are welcome, but spots fill up fast. Skip the line and book an appointment at jcp.com/salon. Feel your best from the first day forward. JCPenney offers valid.
The character and attitude that will help us to fix ourselves. So this is where we are. We've got to a point where there is nothing like good and bad in this country anymore. Good and bad is dependent on who is in government and who is your friend. And in such a situation, we are acting as if now we need 10-point communique to determine or to define what our value or our what we are now calling our moral vision. But we already have a moral vision. We already have a moral vision. We all know it, but we are not working according to it because we are now thinking more about ourselves. Today, even though the pledge and the national anthem advises or urges us to be to be honest. If you are honest in this country, you are in trouble. National anthem advises or urges us to be to be honest. If you are honest in this country, you are in trouble.
But even more importantly, you have in our constitution where we need to put in corrective measures to curb the excesses and abuse of power so that it manifests itself in this way. No amount of praying elsewhere and moral committees will do what legislation itself should do. And that is what we need to be very clear about. The Moral Council, the Integrity Council will seek to highlight these things and put them in our curriculum and, try and promote them in a way which counters the massive information inflow that is coming in through internet and phones, etc., and taking the minds of our children elsewhere. We need something that will counterbalance them. But at the bottom line is that the main volcano, something that will counterbalance them. But at the bottom line is that the main volcano institutions are putting away from legislative issues that we can legislate against. There are certain principles embedded in our constitution that give force to laws for us to legislate, to reflect our value system. But morality per se, we cannot legislate against it, and therefore we cannot enforce it, because we're not a theocracy, we're a democracy. In a theocracy, you can do that. If we live in a Sharia law country and somebody wears their skirt too short, you can call them and whip them and put a cloth over them. Not that that is right, but that is what that kind of system allows you to do. But in a democracy as we have it now, it's a laid down procedure by which government is supposed to pursue the welfare and common good of all of us. But it has found that the lion called partisanship has devoured its interests and is now pursuing the interests of a few. And more importantly, it is even corrupting the very institutions themselves in order that it can do that. If we don't recognize that, we will never be able to solve the problem. And I always put it in very simple terms for everybody to understand. If you're locked in a room and there's a badly behaved dog there and you have a stick, you can control it. But if suddenly they let a lion in that room, that stick is going to be useless. And that is what partisanship has become. It has become something that has eaten all the check systems against the judiciary, against the legislator. It has consumed all their independence and swallowed it in itself. And now, whatever it dictates is what goes on. And this is what we must seek to correct. And that is not a substitute. Talking about morality is not a substitute for that correction.
Help, though. Will talking about morality help?
Oh, of course. I have said that, we have an influx of every child has access to whatever is going on in the internet around the world. And those things influence and more than what achieve within its mandate. And there I feel one of the most important medicines also is to have as JJ will say, who born dog? Hey, you're going to do that exercise, Right. And then finding mechanisms where we can promote them in our society. The demon that we have created in our partisan democracy, which has subsumed
as the members of our well-intending society
establishing institutions and then duplicating for a fact that the Council of State is making any relevant contribution women who have so much experience, who are supposed to counsel the president. A sufficiently resourced to be able to do their jobs. We know what.
Jessica, this is the happiest day of my life. Right up there with the day I bought my RV and insured it with Progressive. Man, I love that thing. There are a million fish in the sea, which I'm reminded of every time I bring my RV to the lake, but I vow to love and cherish you just as much as I cherish campsites with full electric and water hookups. I'm so sorry.
Protect your beloved with an RV policy from Progressive. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you could save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Jessica, this is the happiest day of my life. Right up there with the day I bought my RV and insured it with Progressive. Man, I love that thing. There are a million fish in the sea, which I'm reminded of every time I bring my RV to the lake, but I vow to love and cherish you just as much as I cherish campsites with full electric and water hookups. I'm so sorry.
Protect your beloved with an RV policy from Progressive. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you could save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Heading back to school? Kids' cuts are only $12 at JCPenney Salon. Bring your K through 6th graders in today for a cool cut they'll love. Or take $12 off any styling service of $30 or more and send them back to class looking fresh. Walk-ins are welcome, but spots fill up fast. Skip the line and book an appointment at jcp.com/salon. Feel your best from the first day forward. JCPenney. Offers valid through 9/23. Must book with designer or senior designer. Exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Important medicines also is to have as JJ will say, who born dog? Hey, you're going to do that exercise, you know? And then finding mechanisms where we can promote them in our society. The demon that we have created in our partisan democracy, which has subsumed
as the members of our well-intending society
establishing institutions and then duplicating for a fact that the Council of State is making any relevant contribution women who have so much experience, who are supposed to counsel the president. A sufficiently resourced to be able to do their jobs. We know what.
Discover credit cards automatically double all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year, which means... Wait, hold up. Question for the audio engineer.
Go ahead.
Did I read that right? Discover automatically doubles all your cash back?
Yeah, that's what the script says.
So if I get a Discover card right now, I can earn twice the cash back.
Apparently. Wait! Unlimited first-year cash back match. Only from Discover. See terms and learn more at discover.com/match.
Women who have so much experience, who are supposed to counsel the president. A sufficiently resourced to be able to do their jobs. We know what. Place for so long a time. So many young people have become so frustrated, they don't have hope.
Yeah, it's a point well made, and I appreciate. Our schools. Let's tackle that after these messages.
Gastron, your most effective antacid for the relief of symptoms of peptic ulcer, heartburn, gas pain, flatulence, and indigestion.
Hey guys, what are you waiting for? Let's go.
Mwah. Can you bring down the smiles more? Gastron, effective relief from stomach discomfort. Manufactured and distributed by NS Chemist Limited. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
EcoBank salary account, bro. See, with the EcoBank salary account, you will enjoy free life insurance, free debit card, save while you spend, and an amazing chance to double your salary. And even more consolation rewards in the EcoBank double salary promo reloaded.
Guy, this EcoBank salary account sounds interesting. What do you think?
Yeah, but maybe next time, Charlie. You know what? I'd go shine my.
I'd go check my BP.
We go up, never go down, and we stay flat.
Salary account today for a lifetime of benefits. You also stand a chance to win more than double your salary in the EcoBank Double Salary Promo Reloaded from now till July 31st. Terms and conditions apply. This promo is under the supervision of the National Lottery Authority under the Caritas Lottery platform.
For crystal clear and thrilling podcasts and live shows, download and listen to us on Apple, Spotify, TuneIn, Google Podcasts, MyJoy Online, Amazon services like Echo, Amazon Music, and Audible, Stitcher, Adom Online, Overcast.
Now, Kweku House students at Adisado College on an increase. Is it happening more now than it used to? Or are we just seeing more of it thanks to good old social media?
Thank you very much and good afternoon to your viewers. I think we are seeing more of it than it used to because of social media. Of course, in those days, we used to hear some of these things happening in schools, but because of now social media, these things easily get to the forefront and goes viral. So for me, I have not done any research in recent times to ascertain whether the indiscipline in school is escalating or not. But I think it's because of the social media. That is why.
Now, the truth is that most people believe that young people of today just have a less developed sense of consequence. What is your assessment of this in your research? Do you find that perhaps the mindset of young people today seems to be a lot more carefree than their predecessors?
I think that the system that we are building seems to give a certain level of freedom to young people as compared to those days. The spirit, the communal spirit that used to engulf the development of the child. For their children. So the child socialization process sometimes starts from and all those things from the school rather than from the house and from of youth that we are seeing today. Young people as compared to those days. The spirit, the communal spirit that used to engulf the development of the child. for their children. So the child socialization process sometimes starts from and all those things from the school rather than from the house and from of youth that we are seeing today. Tells me that they are handicapped in terms of giving of youth that we are seeing today. Tells me that they are handicapped in terms of giving the teachers are handicapped and they are powerless, and therefore students have a the assistant headmaster, there's one in charge of academics, there's one in charge of that is why we want to bring out a dean of discipline. Again, there are counselors, there are supposed to be counselors in our schools. These counselors are supposed to be the years and everything that the students want to talk about. I don't know whether we have assessed the effectiveness of our counseling system in our schools, that we think that all these mechanisms, all these systems that we have in place are not sufficient enough to that we think that all these mechanisms, all these systems that we have in place are not sufficient enough to do different in terms of this decision. But I think that a lot of thinking should have gone through this, and I don't foresee this particular portfolio coming to. I think that we need to go back and have a reorientation of our teachers in how to handle students when they exhibit signs of indiscipline. I feel that teachers are so much used to the corporal punishment that they're taking away off their canes from them seems to suggest to them that they cannot do any other thing. I'm told and I'm aware that a lot of other disciplinary measures were introduced to the teachers. They find it ineffective. So the first thing that we need to do is to walk the teachers through these other forms of discipline that can be meted out to the students, including making sure that the student does not partake in certain things that makes him or her happy by having positive interaction with the student who undergoes these kind of discipline issues and all those things, that those positive measures that have been listed by Ghana Education Service. I think the teachers need to be discipline issues and all those things, that those positive measures that have been listed by Ghana Education Service. I think the teachers need to be school disciplinary issues and criminality. And this is very, very important. There are certain things that students do that borders on criminal, like having positive interaction with the student who undergoes these kind of discipline issues and all those things, that those positive measures that have been listed by Ghana Education Service. I think the teachers need to be discipline issues and all those things, that those positive measures that have been listed by Ghana Education Service. I think the teachers need to be school disciplinary issues and criminality. And this is very, very important. There are certain things that students do that borders on criminal records, and they should be dealt as such. Warning, beating teachers, harming teachers, and so on and so forth. School authorities should hand them over to the police. This is very important. Again, we need to go back to the time where there was constant interaction between the family, the students' parents, and that of the teachers. We know that PTA, there have been a lot of issues with PTA, but I think that we need to go back and find ways and means to keep the constant interaction between the parents and the teachers, so that the parents will be abreast on regular basis of behavior of their wards. Some of these children, their parents don't know what they are up to on campus. And sometimes when you tell them that this is what your ward has done, the parents will come and tell you that I don't believe it. So we need to establish that kind of relationship. Make sure we strengthen it. What your ward has done, the parents will come and tell you that I don't believe it. So we need to establish that kind of relationship. Make sure we strengthen it. Behavior reports to parents.
Right.
These reports will give parents an idea of the character of their children on campus, and it will help them also contribute to their quota to help to reforming that particular house. And that is why I've also indicated that interaction between the teacher and the parents should monitor the activities of their children, and parents to this one you cannot do it with any form of legislation. It is a moral responsibility on the parents to ensure that this is done. But the problem is that some parents might not be able to do it. And that is why the system, the country, have 14 years of the child's life in school. 14 years of every young child's life in Ghana is spent in a school. 2 years at the kindergarten, 6 years at the primary school, 3 years at junior high school, and then 3 years at senior high school. 14 years. When you go to countries where they have been able to mold the behavior of their populace, they use the formal education system. And that is why sometimes some of us, we propose that them also contribute to their quota to help to reforming that particular house. And that is why I've also indicated that interaction between the teacher and the Parents should monitor the activities of their children, and parents to this one, you cannot do it with any form of legislation. It is a moral responsibility on the parents to ensure that this is done. But the problem is that some parents might not be able to do it. And that is why the system, the country, have 14 years of the child's life in school. 14 years of every young child's life in Ghana is spent in a school. 2 years at the kindergarten, 6 years at the primary school, 3 years at junior high school, and then 3 years at senior high school. 14 years. When you go to countries where they have been able to mold the behavior of their populace, they use the formal education system. And that is why sometimes some of us, we propose that we need to look at our educational system and use it to transform the child or the children that goes through it. Because it is the education that, the formal education that the child is exposed to. And when he goes there, there are things that the child is taught. The teacher sometimes becomes the god of the child. And whatever the teacher says, the child listens, even sometimes more than what the parent is saying. So we need to go back. And of course, we are doing curriculum reforms and other things. We have to look at how we are doing all these things, building morals, values, principles, practices, and other things that we cherish as Ghanaians. Let's push these things into our curriculum and ensure that once the child moves from KG to class 1 to class 2 to GHS to SHS, the child is consciously and intentionally walk through these principles that will mold the child's behavior. I'm not saying this will transform every child, but at least we will be able to get about 90% of these children obeying or moving or being reformed in a way that the country wants the children to be.
Dr. Peter Anti, I want to say a big thank you to you for spending your afternoon with us. We appreciate your insights. Now let's stay with education. The Ghana Education Service is urging parents to take an interest in the early education of their children, as it is the foundation of a successful journey in their education. Now, at a stakeholder sensitizing the early education of their children, as it is the foundation of a successful journey in their education. Now, at a stakeholder sensitization for children.
Many of the parents don't even know. They think that early childhood is child up, so that they will be, when they move to the primary, they will be ready for the mainstream education. And then we also need to train more special teachers for the early childhood.
The Director of Early Childhood Education at the Ghana Education Service, Vida Barbara Into, says it is very important that children's development are invested into to achieve the set target for 2030.
We are implementers. So we are implementing every bit of the policy that with ministry and GES have. And then also GES is in support with development partners and NGOs to develop activities, manuals for training teachers, going for monitoring, and then training the head teachers, for training teachers, going for monitoring, and then training the head teachers for more NGOs, more development partners to come and then support the early childhood education.
Ghana, you know the popular saying that it takes a village to raise a child. The entire society.
Education.
Ghana, you know the popular saying that it takes a village to raise a child. The entire society them ensuring that the teachers are well trained, understand the area, the sector, and how to ensure that
making the world a better place. Now, he said this in a media encounter on the sidelines of the commissioning of an early years education center in Atoko, which was jointly financed by the Atoko Development Foundation and the Royal Masonic School for Girls in the UK.
The Atoko Early Years Education Center, equipped with the state-of-the-art learning and teaching materials, was designed to provide a solid foundation in education for children in the coastal community. The center comprises 4 classrooms, sanitary facilities, and a resource library. Provision of the center was made possible through a collaboration between the Atoko Development Fund and the Royal Masonic School for Girls in the United Kingdom. The Dufia of Atoko, Togbi Akume Geli Ajolulu III, who was the master planner of the project, described the facility as a legacy that would leave a lasting impact on the community.
I, the foundation, are extremely concerned and disappointed with the continuous decline of the educational standard in Atoko, as mentioned by the head. Mr. Chairman, to address the decline, the foundation has decided to establish the Atoko Early Years Education Center, which is set up to be a well-resourced center to provide solid foundation in education to pre-children and students of school-going age in Atoko by providing effective educational, medical, and social support to the children. The medical support, which is provided by the ADF clinic and laboratory, will involve assessing, monitoring their medical, such as their immunization status, their sight, hearing, nutritional, dental, and carrying an assessment for any special educational needs. This is a real legacy project which will support and benefit generations and forever leave your footprints in Atoko.
A trustee of the Atoko, Adele Lee Rudok, said the outfit is working on a long-term plan to transform the center into a full-fledged school.
We have worked on development plans, short, medium and long term. We don't do anything like, oh, we make a decision today. Everything we do is by proper development plans, so we can see where we're moving forward to. And this is the same. We're starting small. 15 children coming in to an environment where they've got teachers that fully understand how important early years is.
The District Grand Master of the District Grand Lodge of Ghana, Right Worship Isaac Owulaku Hood, who was there to support the Royal Masonic School for Girls established by the Freemasons,
medical facilities, the technical facilities, the IT.
Sorry. Joy News, Atoko.
Why does he say that? Well, there's one way to find out. Go to myjoyonline.com. But of
edition of the Showbiz Roundtable will be happening on 29 July 2023 at the Labadi Beach Hotel. The theme for this Thought Leadership Forum is exploring the dynamics of sponsorship in the creative space. On the panel will be founder of 3 Music Television and Wonderland Festival, Baba Sadiq. Lateef Abubakar is playwright and CEO of Glow Productions. Regina Ofori, brand director and consumer Sadiq. Lateef Abubakar is playwright and CEO of Glow Productions. Regina Ofori, brand director and consumer procurement expert and management consultant. Keynote speakers are Anklebo White, who is playwright and an author. Bright Latekbo, CEO of PhD Media Ghana Limited.
No.
But at that point, you couldn't stop it. You couldn't tell them not to go.
You see, this is where this is where the conversation is. That I've heard many people say they can see, but they can't stop it. Sometimes it's not stop. Sometimes it's just changing the course. For me, when I saw it, I kept telling, and it's in the messages, kept telling him to change the course. You understand? Several months before.
Which of the courses? What course exactly?
I remember there were times I texted and said, listen, the region, that space, you have a lot of calls to go and perform there. Don't go. You can ask Bullet when you meet him.
As in the region she came from?
Yeah.
The Bruno area,
yes.
yeah.
They kept getting calls. Charlie, come and perform.
As in the region she came from?
Yeah.
The Bruno area,
yes.
yeah.
They kept getting calls. Charlie, come and perform. She's not gone. And I want us to respect, Ebony, the dead right now, because, she was a very good person and all that. So, yeah. And so, fast forward, some of the things I come back. But the thing is that when they come and your gates are open, you to close your gates. If anybody says that I saw this about you, no. Show the people the path. Tell them that it is not about because you think that he will take you there. And so personally, I thought I was strong, but I really was broken, because this is a woman who by heart. I say, stay put and let's move. People don't understand. Death is gain. For believers, is gain. Because death is gain when you die in Christ. So my mom died in Christ. That's my mom there.
Yeah.
That at least this we're gonna, because my mom is like that, so she was. But hey, they have to go, and so. Money to buy power, Usually, those times I was doing a lot of projects. Yeah, I did. I talked to last minute. I talked. Yeah.
Did he contact you?
Well, I haven't. Happened to him and all that. The team behind him, who is doing that, so. Stars, a lot of talent will emanate from it. So you can attack me, I won't talk. But the moment you touch the label, no, I won't. No. Yeah, because you see, the label has brought people out. Somebody was asking me, have we made money? No. But we have sacrificed.
You haven't made money as a label?
No.
Really?
No.
But don't you think that's what some of these artists think it is? That's why some of them leave, because they feel if they're with you, you're making their money, they're not making the money?
It's a conversation that's happening. The reason why most of the artists also go is because, yes, he's seen stuff happen. Yes, he's seen money.
He's seen KY driving a Range Rover.
Yeah, but they're also driving good cars.
But they're not driving Range Rover.
But Range Rover is not.
It's quite expensive.
No.
KY.
I mean, if I tell you,
that is about 500,000 Ghana cedis worth of a
that
car.
car, I want to borrow it, please. I'm trying to, Yeah, but everybody knows. I didn't start today. 25 years of doing this. What is okay? Otherwise, Range Rover will write a letter to me that bring our car back. Yeah, but at the end of the day, it is a process.
Yeah.
You understand? It's a process that the artists have to bring themselves. But you see, there are some poachers around. I call them smart poachers. When they see the artist ripe, they contact the artist directly. And they tell them, and they are industry people. I can mention names.
Mention.
Serious industry people.
Mention.
I'm coming. You let me finish.
You know, here we beg.
Oh, of course, I'll mention. I'm coming. Okay. They go to the artist and tell them, oh, listen, what the label is doing is fine, but we can do better. Oh, I'll come to the poacher. I know you are very interested in that poacher.
I am.
But I'll mention him. Yeah, no. So I said, dear poacher, please, if you're interested in any artist, go the right way. Talk to otherwise, you see, like I mentioned, there is a certain source the artist is coming from. If you move him from, it's like you have plucked flowers and you are quickly going to plant somewhere. There's a 98% that it will die. So come to the people and say, listen, I have a deal here, and I think we should sit together and do this. It's different.
So who is this poacher?
I said I'll mention him.
Yeah.
That is to you when we close.
No.
Oh.
We are on air. And
you know I love you. As a matter of fact, I'm hosting the show.
All right, let's talk about your female,
Our mind cry is not there.
Okay, so what is it then?
It is. We can now bring the women who one is doing makeup, one is doing hair.
Okay.
So
Baba Sadiq Lateef Abubakar is playwright and CEO. CEO of PhD Media Ghana Limited. Come meet Your wide variety of items is amazing.
Interesting things at home.
Promotions, sales, massive discounts, freebies, what more?
With everybody for you.
GoTV Super Plus, available from 1 August. GoTV.
Hey. Chinese 7 Bemo.
We are all the way from Takwa.
Joy Prime, Big Chef Tertiary. The kitchen has no boundaries. All relevant players in the housing and construction industry in Ghana, from Friday. Purchase, roofing, lighting, electronic appliances, home security. Bank and powered by the planned city extension project from cities.
Tonight on Business Live, Fitch Solutions projects policy rate of 30% by the Bank of Ghana at its next meeting in September 2023, but hopeful real interest rates will return to positive